Hello, Big Brother fans. This is review of episode 3 of season 14 of Big Brother. We open with Kara and Dan, and they're having a conversation because she has just been nominated. And, you know, Dan is telling her, you're not the focus of this. Everybody likes you. More than likely, they're focusing on getting Frank out, and don't worry because I'm going to work at keeping you in, and you know who your coach is, right? And then she said to, in her diary room entry, the problem is, and they know who my coach is too, which brings up a very valid point because, you know, do you get a target put on your back just because of the fact that your coach is one of those that has won? Because, you know, Boogie and Dan are the only two that have really won, and so people might think that they're an absolute threat in the game. But Janelle just thinks that it's all just very funny. She does not care for Boogie. I don't care for Boogie either, but when she called him a toolbox, I about nearly lost it. That was hilarious. Let's see. Willie and Frank were talking, and they brought up the point that the coaches don't really care who wins as long as it's someone on their team so that they also win. So this is going to cause a little dissension, and they, at the end of the episode, they did talk about how they're going to try to wrestle out from under the coaches. That will be very interesting to see. Let's see. Boogie was seen in a diary room entry saying that he was in an alliance with the greatest player in Big Brother history, Dr. Will. But didn't just last episode he say that he was the best player in Big Brother history? I mean, you know, I think he likes airtime. I think he likes a lot of airtime. I think that I'm a little tired of the amount of airtime that they're going to give him. But he's a coach, so he's probably going to get quite a bit more airtime. They did the POV competition, and Kara got Shane, pulled Shane's name. Frank got Will, Willie got Danielle, and the host was JoJo. And they had to jump through... it was like a laundromat, and they needed to get coins from a sudsy area that would equal $1.30, and they had to lob it into a hole, these huge coins into a hole, and it had to equal $1.30. So there were dollar coins, 25-cent coins, and 5-cent coins, and it was quite amusing how they were, you know, some of them were starting to stash things. Like Frank had started his little stash of the dollar ones, and Shane wanted to get at them, and then I noticed that Shane just needed 5 more cents. So I noticed at the very end that he had actually grabbed 2 and lobbed one over onto the side just in case he needed to come back and get it. So he was pretty good at it, actually. You know, he would just toss those things just right in, and everybody else is just, it was almost as if his had magnets on them, and everyone else's had, you know, lead weight or something, because they weren't very good at that game. But the slipping and the sliding, I guess, apparently took a lot out of Shane, because the next day he was in quite a bit of pain. And that's when Boogie went to go talk with him about possibility of hooking up. But Boogie was doing a lot of scrambling in this episode. He first went over to Brittany's team, or Brittany, to find out what, you know, how the water was. He was just testing the water, so to speak. And I was very proud of her. She stood her ground, and she, you know, she's not a stupid girl by any means. And then after he figured out he was, you know, he was treading in very shallow water, but he was about to go off the deep end, so he backed off, and then he goes to go find Janelle, and Janelle is just not taking any of his bullshit. I love it. I love it that, you know, it's just like, been there, done that, not gonna let it happen again. But when he decided to throw Dan under the bus, and Janelle went to go tell Dan, I loved it. I loved how the coaches are all like, you know, they're like playing the game. And meanwhile, you know, you have people in the game like Kara, I'm shy, I take a long time to warm up, and then there's that freaky Ian kicking himself in the head and face, and I mean, they're just so non-game-ish as far as we can tell yet. You know, I mean, you know, of course, you know, we get shown what CBS wants to show us. But it doesn't seem like they're really hardcore gaming at this point. So it'll be interesting to see. Now we have America's vote, and the vote is for number 1 for liverwurst and licorice. Number 2 is pork rinds and pudding. And number 3 was tofu and taffy. Immediately, 2 people in my house started screaming pork rinds and pudding. I decided on the tofu and the taffy, only because tofu would be a better means of protein. Even though pork rinds are a good means of protein, tofu is more food-ish, you know what I mean? More meal-ish. And, you know, it doesn't have a flavor, so basically you can make it anything you want. You could put in any condiment to make it taste like that, you know what I mean? So, I'm thinking that America is going to be very good. They're either going to choose 2 or 3, because right now we don't dislike anybody in the house. Later on, as the season goes on a little further, we start to get a little bit more petty and we give them crap to eat. Let's see. During Boogie's talk with Shane, when Shane was, you know, they were the only 2 out in the back, and Shane was mourning about his back hurting so much from the competition, he was saying, you know, that he feels like he's an incredible physical threat, and he's worried about his position in the house, so he doesn't want to jeopardize it by using the POV. And Boogie was saying, I don't think that you have anything to worry about, because pretty much you'll be just like how we did with Janelle. If you always keep a threat in the game, there's someone that will always be the target and keep people, you know, pick the other people off, but you know, still have that one target there or whatever. So it kind of made sense, but it kind of didn't make sense in terms of you know, Boogie really didn't solidly say that, you know, I've got your back kind of deal. I mean, you know, he always alludes to things and stuff, but I wouldn't buy anything he was saying. Oh my goodness, if Appreciate becomes a word of the season, just saying. As soon as it was said, Scott said, I'd send anybody who just said that to me home. I know, it's like, anyway, Shane ends saying that he's not going to use the POV, and he says you need to get out there, you need to rally your votes, you aren't out yet. Which is very, very true. So it's like, you gotta get yourself in game mode. You've gotta, you know, do what you gotta do in order to stay in. If I had to call right now who was going home, I would say I'm seriously thinking that it's more than likely going to be Kara. I don't know. It's just something. It's just a weird feeling that I have, because it would make sense to send Frank home, you know, because he's, you know, he's the strongest. Well, I don't know if he's the strongest on the team, but he definitely is up there. Well, yeah, he is, because his other teammates are Ian and Jen. It would make lots of sense to send him home, because it would also even out Boogie and Dan, you know what I mean? But then there's always that because Dan is already down one player, to send another person home, it's like he would be just squeaking by on one person on his team, and like Boogie said, get rid of one and you got a 33% chance of winning. And while Janelle poo-pooed that, she's also not she's also not stupid. She's going to take it to heart. So that'll be very interesting to see what they decide to do. Anyway, what do you guys think? Who do you think is going to be kicked? Who do you think, or who would you like to see as next week's HOH? I think I would love to see someone who is kind of quiet so far. I mean, from what I've seen on the show, I would like to see someone like, say, JoJo or Jen or even Ashley. Some of the quiet ones. I would like to see where their head is at, become HOH. But HOH, it'll be open to the stronger players, and depending on what it is, there's no telling who would win. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys tomorrow night after the eviction.